people and faces. I'm Linda Roberts. We're going to get started in a few minutes. Everyone know how to use the chat? If you want to leave me a message in the chat just to let me know that you can hear me or a thumbs up or something, that would be great. I want to make sure I'm being heard. And then also let me know where you're from. I'm in the Chicago suburbs. I'm curious about where some of you are from. See Marta here. Hi. Oh, great. Okay, Lydia from Georgia. Beautiful. Glad to have you here. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Great. Lisa's from Crystal Lake. Paula from Miltona, Minnesota. All right. Great. Glad to have you all here. Before we get started, how many of you have had that uh, that heart animal, that heart dog or cat or horse in your life? You know, just that one that really gets us. Have you all
Yeah,
experienced that in your lives?
I have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
yeah, I have too.
Especially for those of us over the age of 40, we've experienced one or two or several. Oh, good. I got to tell you, one of the most rewarding things that I have done with animal communication is I've communicated with my heart animals who have transitioned over. And to be able to do that and to continue to have a relationship with them, albeit an energetic relationship, it's just so comforting to know. Yes, it's traumatic when they physically leave us, but you can continue to have a relationship and a bond with them even if they have transitioned. And sometimes as a communicator, they'll let you know that they're coming back and what to look for signs, or I'm going to be over here. I'm going to be, with this group of rescuers or with this breeder, or I'm just going to walk up to your door one day. And it's just so phenomenal to think about how that spiritual relationship just continues to thrive and to grow, even though our loved ones have passed. So that's one of the things I just love about animal communication. You'll hear me talk about my heart horse, Howie, who he's the reason why I'm doing this. He kind of forced me to learn animal communication, even though I knew nothing about it at the time. So I did it for love, just like I'm sure you all are here wanting to do things for love as well. All right. And I think, you're in the right place, especially if you love animals. And I appreciate you taking the time to be here and especially to show up on time so we can get started with the class. I'm going to pull up. I think, yeah, everyone's muted. I think, Lisa, do you want to mute? Just see that you're not. Paula, do you want to mute just to be safe as I get started with the presentation? All right, and I'm going to go off screen here while oh, shoot. Hold on, I can't do that yet. Hold on. Oh my goodness, sorry. There we go. Great. All right, well, welcome. I'm Linda Roberts, a professional animal communicator, And I knew nothing about animal communication 16 years ago. But I'm here to teach you all about animal communication because I'm a former teacher. I used to teach preschool and elementary school, and I loved it, and I loved teaching. I also taught adults when I was in a corporate job many years ago in the early 90s. And so I think teaching is definitely something that I thrive in that environment. But again, I knew nothing about animal communication, but I have made my sole earnings and living as a single divorced woman with the ability that I have through animal communication. And I have taught hundreds of folks throughout the years, and I wanted to let you all know about the top 5 mistakes that I see people making when they are just starting out with animal communication, so that maybe you don't make the same mistake. So I'll talk about how to balance and counter those mistakes with the correct way to do things, of course. So here we go. I'm so excited to be here. So I'm going to show you the top 5 mistakes made when learning animal communication and how to overcome them so you can start talking with your animals. It's so important to be able to understand them, right? And as a bonus, when you stay until the end of this masterclass, I have a special bonus for you. Hint, hint. I am going to do a free reading for those of you who stay through the program. I'm going to intuitively pick one of you to do a reading for one of your animals, and the animal can be living or deceased. But I'll talk more about that towards the end of the presentation, so stay tuned. You're in the right place if you're motivated to know what your animal is thinking and feeling. You know, we want to know, are they enjoying the food? Are they enjoying the walks? Are they enjoying the pets or the play or their siblings? Whatever it may be, because animals can be stoic. You know, to survive on Earth, we as humans have to be stoic most of the time, and animals do that as well to survive. Just think about it. If they were in the wild, they would hide a wound or a pain or an injury, and even though they're domesticated, they still have that innate quality to hide things. But with animal communication, it's more difficult for them to hide things. You're in the right place if you're aware that animals have feelings. Oh, yes, they absolutely do. We feel it in our hearts when we look into their eyes. We feel their emotions so many times. So here's my animal family. Start on the left is Mocha, my current horse, a beautiful mare that came into my world last year after the passing of my heart horse, Howie, who is the red chestnut pictured on the right. And then I've got rescue kitties, I've got Magnus, and I've got his brother Max. Magnus is the one on the left, Max is the one on the right, and then Millie and Floyd. So Floyd is centered with me, and Millie is on the right with the purple background. They are litter mates, and they are 14 years of age. I love them dearly. They've been emotional supportive of me through deaths of family members, losses of relationships, losses of divorce, heart dog, just so many transitional things that have happened to me. Children going away to college. I'm an empty nester now, and they're just fabulous. But it's Howie who, with his health issue, really got me started with this, because for 2 years I was trying to remedy his colic. He had repetitive colic, which is life-threatening for horses. I spent over $2,000 on him to try and fix him. He went to veterinary hospitals. We tried medicines, we tried different vets, we tried different approaches. Nothing was working until I started to learn animal communication and actually hear him and feel him and know what was going wrong with him, because he was able to express it to me, and then we fixed it, and we had 13 more beautiful years together, which I'm really happy about. And I still talk to him this day. Almost every day I talk with him, I check in with him. So, can you imagine truly knowing how your animals are feeling? Can you imagine releasing worries about their well-being? You know, if animals have separation anxiety, or if they have PTSD, or they're a newly rescued animal, or they just got into a dog fight with another dog that just happened to approach them. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to talk with them about those things, which one of my students just had happened? One of her rescue dogs that she's fostering got attacked by another foster. They were introducing them to one another and it didn't go well. And so now her foster is having some emotional issues, but she's talking with her every day and comforting her and getting her to release some of that fear and trigger response that she's got. Can you imagine being aware of your animal's food preferences? What do they really like? Even though it's not great for him, my one dog, he loves chicken. He just refuses. He's gone on a food strike a couple of times with me because I do make human food for my dogs, and yeah, he's just so funny. It's not great for him because he has a little bit of an allergy to it, but that's all he really wants to eat, and I know this because he's told me. But it's also wonderful to know how they feel about their groomer or their vet or their siblings or the playmates that they have. Learning to communicate with animals means you will no longer be frustrated with trying to figure out their feelings or if they're in pain, but instead you have the clarity to help them to have a great life and give yourself peace of mind. As I said, I spent so many stressful nights wide awake for 2 years trying to fix Howie, trying to problem solve and think it through. What could we try next? Doing research. All that frustration went away once I learned how to communicate with him and get the answers that I was looking for. So just like Sue went through my program a couple years ago and she says, this class makes my day. I now understand and I see the confirming information from my animals. And she gets chills when that happens. I don't know if you've ever had that experience where you say something and it feels really truthful, or you're supposed to pay extra attention to whatever you just said. And you'll either get like a ringing in your ear, or you're going to get chills up your back or goosebumps on your arms or whatever it may be. That's Spirit's way of letting you know you're spot on, you're accurate. But the situation with Sue was she had a tragic accident with one of her horses, not this guy pictured. He fell on her and he had to be euthanized, this accident. So after that whole incident and she repaired her physical self, she was also working on her emotional self. And she was afraid to canter with this horse she's hugging here, Bentley, because of the accident, because the accident happened when she was cantering the other horse. And so she had trust issues, which is very understandable and very relatable. When she started to really tap in and talk with this Bentley, who she's hugging, she was able to trust him that he was going to keep her safe. And I'm happy to say that their relationship and their bond is so much stronger now because they are using telepathic communication to communicate with one another. All right, here we go. I'm going to do a countdown with these mistakes. So mistake number 5, pretty common mistake. Some people, even those who come into my program early on, say only special people can do it. Well, I don't think that's the case. From what I've seen in the hundreds of people that I've been able to teach, I don't think it's just special people. So to resolve this belief, I want you to know that everyone has the ability. I don't think our creator only handed out special little tokens to some people of, you get this ability and you don't. I don't think that's the way it happened. What I do know, and when I see a comparison of learning animal communication, I compare it to learning a foreign language. So if you've ever tried to learn a foreign language, either in the classroom or to be immersed in a culture to learn it, you'll find out that you're not fluent immediately, right? But if you really want to learn it, you're going to do what it takes to learn it. You're probably going to get bits and pieces of words or statements, but you're not going to get probably complete sentences right off the bat. You're not going to get full paragraphs or stories right off the bat. So if you think about that and think about accessing your natural ability to use telepathy, you're not going to be fluent in it immediately. So just recognize that everyone has this ability and it is there for all of us. Just like everyone has the ability to learn a foreign language if they want to. Candela is another former student that I've taught, and she said, I really enjoyed Linda's style of teaching. I feel like I'm remembering something that I always knew was there, but I didn't quite understand it, or I didn't know how to use it. And then she says, whenever I talk with animals, I get validation that I'm accurate and that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be in my life. So you can ask the animal for validation, the animal that you're talking to. For example, you can say to, well, Candela has a cat. So Candela would ask her cat telepathically, without saying a word verbally, with her thoughts. She would say, turn your head if you can hear me and look at me when she's in the same room with the cat. And the cat would do that. And then also in my class, we practice on the same animals. And there is confirmation of people getting the same messages from the same animal. It's so rewarding to see people to feel, oh my gosh, I can do this. So the fourth mistake that a lot of new communicators make is they feel that you must meditate to get messages. Well, that's not exactly how it works. It did work for me when I first started out, but I don't teach my classes in that way because I know we all pick up information in so many different ways. Some of you may be visual learners. Some of you may really like to listen to things, like podcasts or lectures, and that's how you take in information. Whereas some of you may actually be more of a kinesthetic learner where you have to have tactile touch with a thing or an object or an experience in order to better understand it or to know how it works. So there are lots of different ways to access your intuitive telepathic communication. The first suggestion I have is that you become aware of your emotions and your thoughts. Because if you're in a happy place and you are ready to practice talking with your dog, and your dog, you're feeling happy, right? And you communicate with your dog telepathically, and your dog is feeling kind of sad, but you're not picking up on it because you're overly happy. You're going to say, oh, my dog is happy, but actually the dog is sad and hurting and maybe in pain. But if you first became aware of your own emotions to say, oh, I'm happy, I'm in a good place, but I can be neutral. I can kind of set that aside temporarily. I can be neutral and be open to hearing or feeling or seeing what my dog is going to tell me about how they're feeling today or how they're feeling with the car ride. Some dogs love car rides, some dogs do not. So really tap in and become neutral about your own emotions and thoughts. You also want to be aware of your body and how it feels. Why, you ask? Well, I've got a cute story to share with you. I was doing some paperwork and I had an animal communication appointment in 30 minutes, but I was getting some of my administrative work done. And all of a sudden I got this really strong pain in my chest area. It was heartburn. And I'm like, oh, that's odd. I didn't eat or drink anything that would have caused heartburn because I know what heartburn feels like because I've had it, unfortunately. And so I tapped into my body and I said, whose heartburn is this? I don't think it's mine. And I got this image that popped up in my mind of this little white dog. It was like a poodle kind of mix, a miniature poodle kind of mix. And I looked at my schedule and I said, oh, let's say his name was Tippy. Oh, is this Tippy's pain that I'm feeling and the feeling from my body was, yes, it is not ours, it is his. Okay, thank you for that. So I cleared my energy field from that feeling, but I made a mental note of it for the time of the appointment. So I called up his human at the appointment time and I said, I bet your dog isn't eating. And I knew nothing about this case. And she goes, oh my gosh, how did you know that? I said, well, because the pain from the heartburn that he sent me is so strong, I don't see how he would be eating. And she agreed. She said, we've taken him to the vet numerous times. They cannot figure out why he's not eating. He's had all kinds of tests. I said, he has heartburn. Have you tried to switch the food? I think maybe the food is too rich for him. And that was the trick. That's what he needed. And I checked in with her a month later. He's eating just perfectly. So that was really rewarding to be able to sense that and know that by paying attention to my body. So you've got a vessel. You want to use it to your advantage. Your body is your vessel and can be a receiver of information from the animals. So to fix this mistake, you want to find a way that works for you. There's no right way to connect with the animals. There are thousands of different ways that you can connect with the animals. You've got to find what works for you. And that's my job as your instructor, to help you find the ways that work for you. So I've had people who feel best if they do a communication like on the fly without doing any breath work or clearing or anything like that. Like it just comes. It just kind of lands in their energy field, and they're very accurate, and they're able to do that. And I've had it where some people only receive messages through their gut, that inner knowing, that gut feeling. Even though they wanted to see images, they didn't get the ability to see, or they hadn't developed it yet, but they were feeling things, and they were so accurate. So there's so many different ways that we receive messages from the animals. You'll have to find the way that works for you. So my suggestion is become aware, be grounded in your energy, and be present. Be in the present moment and be aware of your senses and how you're receiving information. In a way, I always tell my students, kind of slow down the world, slow down the experience, so that you can really tap in to get a sense of, am I seeing things? Am I feeling things? Or am I hearing things? There's no right or wrong way. It's whatever way works for you. So I want to share with you Helen. Helen is my Australian student. She said the course changed her life in so many ways. She says wild animals and other domestic animals are flocking to her when she's sitting outside or when she's out and about in the township that she lives in. She says, I can now better understand my newly rescued cats and what they want. She lost two of her kitties due to old age during the course of my program, and then rescued two new ones, and was concerned about them pairing up and actually being a good fit for one another, because she rescued them from two different areas. And they are now living in a very harmonious house, whereas before there was a little bit of disharmony with the kitties, but she was able to understand what each one of them needed and then make those accommodations. So she's a fabulous animal lover for sure. So the third mistake that I see people making is they don't trust the first message that comes through. Why is this? Well, let me explain real briefly. We've got our right brain and our left brain. So the logical part of our brain, we can call it the primal brain. Its job is to keep us safe. It would be so happy if we just lived our life on the couch, eating all the food we wanted and doing nothing. That's its job, to keep us safe. So it's doing its job when it throws fear and doubt your way. And what happens is animal communication messages come through really fast. So sometimes if we're not paying attention on our emotions or our thoughts or our body, these messages can fly through our energy field really fast and we miss them. And we're like, oh, well, that couldn't be. It just happened so fast. It doesn't make sense, and there's that primal brain coming in to say, don't believe it, don't believe it, don't believe it. Whereas we have our ascended brain, the creative brain, that is receiving this information and understanding it as truth and as fact. So balancing what your right brain and your left brain are picking up on is the key to being successful with animal communication. The messages come through really fast, like less than a split second. You can get a feeling or a sensation from the animals. You don't want to miss that. So pay close attention. Ask the animal for confirmation and keep a journal. So remember the story I told you about Candela and her cat, where she asked her cat, if you hear me, turn your head and look at me. And she said this without a sound. She said it telepathically. And the cat turns and looks at her and she's like, oh, yes, I got it. This is great. Another thing I recommend all my students do is they keep a journal. They keep a log of the messages they get, because sometimes when we get messages from the animals, they don't always make sense when we first get them. Sometimes something has to unfold, or our slow human minds has to catch up with what's happening. So for example, I had some students here in my home years ago, and I had them practice with one of my cats. And the students said to me, well, your cat is complaining about a sore paw. And I go, oh, that's interesting, because when we came into this class, he seemed fine to me. I don't know if he's okay now, because I've been in this class teaching you for a few hours, but I'll check on him when we're done. And I checked on him when we were done, and sure enough, he was limping. And I said to Max, my cat, I said, what happened, honey? And you could see one of his nails on his front paw was pulled out a little bit, and he couldn't retract it. And then he showed me his cat tree. He showed me telepathically an image of his cat tree and a nail. He had pulled so hard on the cat tree carpeting that the nail had come loose, and it snagged his nail. So she was right. Even though it didn't make sense at the time for me, but I did let her know afterwards, you were right. He did hurt his nail. So that's why it's important to keep a journal so you can track your progress. And tracking your progress is going to help you to build your confidence. Absolutely. So Penny is a student who went through my course, and she goes, I now know I'm not making it up in my head. I get feedback as proof. Jenny's husband was always questioning her, are you sure about this? Are you sure you're not making this up about our cats? And she's like, no, this is what they want. And she would get proof and confirmation in our class, because other classmates would talk to her cats and find the same information out. So getting that proof and that confirmation helps us to gain our confidence. All right, the second mistake that I see a lot of people making is people believe it's going to be a clear conversation when they're first starting out, like with crystal clear. But just as I said before, with animal communication, kind of like learning a foreign language, there's going to be some fuzziness, some nuances that you may not understand. Just think about some of the slang and the dialects that we hear when we're learning a foreign language. Even in America, the accents and the dialects are different. Things are not going to be perfectly crystal clear when you're first starting out, because you're strengthening that muscle. You're strengthening your ability to be able to receive information from the animals telepathically. So sometimes when I was first starting out, what was that, 15, 12, 13 years ago? I had to think for a minute. I would get like a mist around an image. And I wasn't quite sure what it was, so I asked to see it a little more clearly. And then it cleared up a little bit more, and I'm like, well, I still don't know what that image is. Can I see it a little more clearly? So I was asking to have clarity, and it became a little bit more clear each time I asked. So, for example, my heart horse Howie, my family and I were on a trip, and we were on spring break, and Howie was up in Wisconsin where I kept him at the time. And I was having a conversation with him just before I woke up from sleep. And then we had a conversation, and then all of a sudden I see this image of a green banana. And I said, I don't know what this is. It looks like a green banana to me. It's curved, it looks kind of hard, and there's this green color to it. It certainly isn't a ripe banana. And there was nothing. How he stopped talking at that point, or if he was still talking, I didn't understand. I didn't know what it was, but I made a note of it. And then about 4 hours later, something just clicked. And I'm like, oh, now I know what that green banana meant. Because I had remembered a conversation that I had had with this woman who was giving Howie a massage. And she said, a healthy snack for horses that doesn't have a lot of sugar is a green banana. And I said, oh, okay, thanks. I'll have to try that. And I forgot. But Howie was in the stall when we were having this conversation. He remembered it, and he asked me for a green banana. He was curious to try it. And that's all I got, a green banana. It made no sense. So I got back from my trip, and I gave Howie a green banana, and that was his favorite treat for the duration that he was physically here in my life. So I'm so happy I didn't discount or forget about what a green banana symbolizes, what is the meaning. I was just like, oh, that's curious. I don't know what it means, but I'll be aware of any signs that help me to better understand what it means. And like I said, then a few hours later, it just popped in. So to overcome this mistake, understand that the messages come through in bits and pieces, just like learning a new language. You're going to get a word. You may not know what the word's significance is. You may not understand it, but it's a word. And so this is why it's important to keep a journal, because if you write it down and then you go back, later in the day and you're looking over your journal and you're like, oh, that word, I wonder what that means. Something can trigger that thought or that message that you received. And maybe you'll get more of an understanding of what it means. So remember, when you're learning animal communication, you're going to get bits and pieces. It's not going to be crystal clear. It's going to be kind of foggy sometimes, or muddled sometimes, or like a whisper. And so you just want to ask, can I hear this a little bit louder? Or can I see this a little bit more clearly? Or can I feel this a little bit stronger? Because I'm not quite sure what the message is. As I tell my students, you've got your own personal volume control. You can adjust that volume control whenever you want. Think about it. If you're walking down a dark alley in a strange city that you don't know, and you're by yourself, and you hear a sound behind you, you're going to raise your volume control on all 6 of your senses. I guarantee that, right? You're going to be alert. You're going to be aware of every sound, every smell, every movement. You're probably going to turn around as well. So it's that sensitive volume control that I'm talking about that is going to help you to adjust and become successful with learning animal communication. And we talk about that volume control a lot in my course, which I will explain to you in just a little bit. So Paula dabbled with animal communication. She took some energy classes, she read some books, but nothing was really clicking for her. It didn't make sense until she took my course, which I was really happy to hear. I hear that a lot from people. They're like, I've tried this, I've tried that, it's just not working, but your program's working. So Paula says, I feel more confident that I can communicate now. And it is so true because she loved the Zoom classes where we get together in the course and we talk about, what did you pick up on this animal? Oh, well, I got X, Y, and Z. Oh, well, gosh, I got the X and the Y of that, but I didn't get the Z. But wow, okay, we got some similar information from that animal. So that builds our confidence when we hear it from other people that they're getting the same bits of information. Now, the number one mistake that I see new people making is they don't know what to ask. Let's say you have been dying to talk with your animal, whether they're living or deceased. How to access them is the same. Let's say you've just been waiting and waiting and waiting to hear a message from them. And let's say you feel something or you hear something or you see something from them and you're so excited. Oh my gosh, I made a connection. I felt that they replied to me when I asked, how are you? I felt, I'm okay. And then people get so excited and they forget to ask anything else. So you want to have some questions. I always say they're my go-to questions. Something top of mind that you're going to ask the animals when you get information from them, because you want it to be a conversation. So imagine you're in a foreign country and you walk up to someone and you say, let's say hello, and they say hello back in their language, which is a foreign language for you, and you don't continue anything else. It's like, oh, that was a strange encounter. You could ask another question of that person to have a conversation going. And that's what we want. We want conversations with our animals. We don't just want to get one word answers. So knowing what to ask is critical. So to remedy this, I always suggest that my students design their questions before they have a conversation. You know, we never know where the conversation is going to go. You could be thinking you're going to talk to an animal about their naughty behavior. You know, maybe they're picking on their dog's sibling. But you get into the conversation and you're feeling like the animal is sick. So what are those questions? How could you switch gears like that? From thinking it's a behavior issue to actually realizing, oh, it's a physical issue. Well, this is what I suggest. These 5 questions, they're open-ended and they'll get you a lot of good information if you remember to ask them. So who, what, when, where, and why. So let's say, as I said in the example, let's say it's a cat who's picking on the dog brother. The human is thinking it's a behavior problem, but when you talk to the cat says, oh, I just don't feel good. I have a headache. And so I could ask the cat, oh, what do you mean you have a headache? Can you describe it further? Where is it? Is it on one side of your head? Do you know what is causing it? Do you know who is causing it? Is it, because you're banging your head or someone's throwing something at you? Do you know why you have this headache? So you can find out a lot of good information by asking one or all of these, excuse me, open-ended questions. So I always advise people, if you don't know what to ask, go with these. Who, what, when, where, why. And that will get the conversation going. So you're in the flow of things. And that's going to help you to become fluent with animal communication, not just getting bits and pieces. So Nancy went through my program a few years ago. She's a retired CPA who wants to do animal communication and Reiki in her retirement. And the biggest realization that she had after completing my program was she didn't realize the messages came through so fast. She would kind of like be waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'm like, well, I think they answered you, Nancy. And she's like, oh, okay, let me ask again. And it's okay to ask an animal. Can you repeat that? She didn't realize. It's just the same etiquette as we have in our communication. I know there are some cultural nuances depending on where in the world you are, but animal communication is very similar to how we communicate with one another in the physical form. If you didn't understand what someone said to you, you wouldn't just nod your head and walk away unless you didn't really care or didn't want to be a part of that conversation. You would probably ask, can you explain that a little bit clearer? I'm not getting it. So it's okay to ask because the messages come through really fast. And I'll tell you, this is why it's so important to be aware, be in the present moment. Try not to let the thinking brain distract you about all of your to-do lists or, oh, it's got to be this way. It just has to be just so. That's going to hinder your progress with animal communication. Instead, be light, have fun with it, and enjoy because you're talking with animals. So to review, I want you to remember that everyone is born with the ability. It helps to explore ways that you get messages. We get them in different ways all the time. And some of you may have a dominant way that you get the messages, like some people get a lot of visualizations, and some people can only hear things. But explore, have fun with it, be curious about it. And then number 3, trust that first message that comes through. Do you remember in elementary and high school when you were taking those multiple choice tests and your teacher said, well, if you don't know, just make your best guess. Your first one is probably correct. Well, that's what happens when we do telepathy. That first message that comes through is most likely accurate. Why? Because that primal thinking brain hasn't come in and thrown doubt and dissected it and messed it all up in your head. So trust that first message when it comes through. Second, clarity comes with practice. You can ask for more clarity. Can you show me in a different way? I'm not getting this. Can I see it or hear it or feel it in a stronger way? You can practice this, and it's like a muscle. The more you practice it, the easier it gets. It took me 2 years on my own doing this every night for 2 years. I was practicing animal communication for 5 or 10 minutes. And I didn't have any classes. I didn't have a book. I just tapped in and it came through. But to get really accurate and clearer, I practiced it a lot because I found it fascinating. I've got 3 degrees. I was fascinated that my mind was bringing in this information to me. So I was curiously fascinated, and that's what got me to continue to practice. And then number 1, be prepared with your go-to questions. Know what you're going to ask. Have some idea about, well, if they say this, then maybe I'll ask that to get, more of a conversation, more of a fluid conversation going. So be prepared because the messages come through fast. So it's always good to be prepared. Learning to communicate with animals means you will no longer be frustrated with trying to figure out their feelings or if they're in pain. But instead, you have clarity to help them to have a great life and give yourself peace of mind. That peace of mind is so valuable. Oh, I don't like sleepless nights. I don't know about you. Is giving yourself peace of mind and helping your animals something that you want? Would you like me to help you to learn how to better communicate with your animals as soon as possible? It doesn't have to take you 2 years to do this, just like it took me. I have accelerated the learning process, whereas most of my students who join my course, they are very successful after 2.5 weeks of studying with me. Well, animals do have feelings, and you love your animals and want the best for them. Absolutely. So you have a couple of choices. Number one, you don't try to learn animal communication and continue to struggle with guessing what they want and having confusion. Or you can commit to learn animal communication, strengthening that bond with your animals. Which do you want to choose? If you're ready to learn animal communication, I'd like to invite you to join me. I have a 6-week program called Learn Animal Communication the Telepathic Way. It is live, and it is a digital program where we meet on Zoom twice a week, and there is recorded content for you to listen to as well. This course will guide you to find the clarity you seek in knowing what your animals need from you so they can live the best possible life with you and you can have peace of mind. The benefits of the course are you can develop your own awareness to hearing, seeing, feeling the animals. Another benefit is you will find clarity in knowing what the animals want you to know. That would be nice, right? Instead of guessing. You will learn the 6-step method it takes to focus on the animal's messages. You'll also be on this journey with a community of like-minded animal lovers. We keep it as a small group. It's usually 12 or less participants. This series of classes will help you to hear what your animals are trying to tell you. So what's included? There are 6 recorded classes that you can listen to and or watch, whichever you prefer, and those are every week. And then we have 12 Zoom practice meetings. We meet twice a week. There's that extra support, extra reinforcement, time for questions and answers, time to go over your practice animal readings to get that confirmation and individual direction that you may need to refine your abilities. So this is one of my Zoom meetings that met a few years ago. Great group of ladies. So the content of the course, what we're going to learn is how to connect and overcome doubts. That's really important, right? Overcoming those doubts, because those primal brains, they jump in and they try to keep us safe. The second class is what and how to ask the questions of them. The third class is viewing things from their animal's perspective, understanding that maybe some animals don't understand how to tell time. Some animals only understand the sunrises or the sunsets, but some animals do understand the concept of time. We'll talk about things that are coming from the animal's perspective, things for communicators to be aware of. Then we go through the 6-method model, the step-by-step process that is going to help you to really get solid with making the connection with the animals. And then we're going to talk about deciphering and relaying the messages. How do you understand what the green banana means? Those types of situations. And then energy and free will. Humans have free will, animals have free will. So when we communicate with animals, we're not really telling them what to do. We're actually asking them why they do what they do. Because I think once we get to the why, then we can better problem solve or understand why they do what they do. So I have 2 programs available for you. The silver program has those 6 classes and the 12 Zoom meetings and the community. Or the gold program has all of what's in the silver program, but it also has a special component where you're going to get a certification showing you're a certified animal communicator through my program. And it also has an additional 1 hour of training with me via Zoom or phone, whichever you prefer. And with that, we can refine your abilities and actually get you to stretch and go beyond the basic communications. So I've got a few bonuses for you this evening. The first bonus is a 1 hour private training with me. In those meetings, we will meet over the phone or via Zoom, and I, as someone who reads energy, I can see the energy that you're sending out when you are attempting to communicate with an animal. I've helped people to broadcast their energy out louder and bolder, as well as bringing it in. Some people were like giving a huge hug to a herd of horses, whereas they couldn't understand who they were connecting with. And I'm like, oh, your reach is too big. I see you like giving them this huge energy hug. Let's bring it in. Let's make it more of a handshake where you pick one horse to communicate with. And that helped her tremendously. So this private training is valued at $230. It's probably valued at more than that. The second bonus is the Awaken Your Intuition pack. Did you know that when you learn animal communication, you become more intuitive? That's right, because we are using that third eye chakra and or the heart chakra to help to open up that connection. Those are the channels that we use when we communicate. That's also the channel that we use when we get our intuition, when we get those intuitive messages to come through. So this package is a workbook that you go through, and it's going to help you to understand how you make those connections more clearly. The third bonus is a downloadable guided meditation to help you get clear before connecting with an animal. A lot of my former students loved this because they said it helped them to get centered and grounded and in the present moment so that they could be a good receiver of information. The fourth bonus is your own individual spirit animal reading, and that's valued at $200. Did you know that you have a spirit animal similar to a guardian angel? And you have a spirit animal who is going to help you to learn animal communication. Wouldn't that be nice to have a helping spirit? It helps, trust me. I teach my students that they are the backup. If you're not understanding something, or maybe you don't feel like maybe you have the flu, but you have to talk with your animal to make sure that they're okay, you can ask that spirit animal to do the reading for you and give you the information, because their energy is so strong and so powerful, it can come through a little bit clearer than speaking directly with your own animal. And that's something I talk about in the class. So all of these bonuses, the private training, the Awaken Your Intuition pack, the downloadable meditation, the spirit animal reading, is valued at $580. The value for all, the course and the bonus at the silver level, is $1,177, but I'm offering it for $597 right now. So again, the breakdown is the silver is $597. That does not have the certification. The silver has a payment plan of 5 monthly payments of $123. Or if you want to do certified, or you need some extra support, one-on-one support with me, you can go with the gold program, and that is $797. 6 monthly payments of $138. So it's very reasonable for you. The program itself is only 6 weeks, so you have lots of time to pay this off even after the course is completed. You have lifetime access to the course. So again, this is what you get. Silver is $597 with the 6 classes and the 12 Zooms and the lifetime access. There's also a free Facebook group that we like to play in. The gold is $797, 6 classes, 12 Zooms, lifetime access, and that individual training and certification with me. I do want you to be confident with your decision. So I have a 7-day money-back guarantee, whereas We start the course on September 28th. 7 days after that, if you're not happy, then you get your money back less a little uh, exchange fee for the processing. So, are you ready to learn? The course starts on September 28th. We have a wonderful community of animal lovers who come into this program, and I'd love to have you join us. I'm going to put this link in the chat. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or you can unmute and talk. And there's the link. Oh, it didn't hyperlink. Hold on. Oh my gosh. All right, third time's the charm. I'm having issues typing this. Any questions? Anybody? Anybody? There, finally. All right, I'm going to stop the share. Here I am. Hello. Hi, Evie. If you want to unmute, you can ask me questions. Who do you have with you there, Evie?
This is our new rescue dog.
Oh, you're
Pepper.
still muted.
No, it should be unmuted. It says I'm unmuted.
Oh, there, I got it. Yes.
So this is our new rescue dog, Pepper.
Oh,
A
great.
couple of weeks ago.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Good.
She's ruling the roost.
Of course. I'm sure he deserves it. Well, good. Does anyone have any questions about this program? We start on Thursday, the 28th. The Zoom meetings, which are the popular component of this program, are at 7 p.m. Central on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They are recorded, so if you miss one, don't worry about it. You can listen to the recording. We practice on each other's animals, so you get free animal communication readings from other people like yourself and from myself during the course. So it's a win-win.
I have a question.
Yes.
How often do you teach these classes? Because this isn't going to work with my schedule right now.
Yeah, twice a year.
Okay.
Yep, spring and fall.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Anyone else?
Do some people have to retake these courses? I mean, because they don't get it the first time through?
No, I haven't had that. What I do have is a back end membership for people who've gone through the course. And then we continue. We meet twice a month. And so you can continue your hello, your abilities. And they've really enjoyed that extra practice and support.
Okay. If you go through the silver class, and you think you do well with it, can you upgrade to the gold class?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Just let me know. Yeah. I don't care if it's the 6th week or not. I mean, I can still do that 1-hour training with you.
Okay.
Yeah. Good questions. The bonuses I've created are very supportive, and they're going to help you to get started along your way with the process and mindset and understanding how it works. Is everyone here familiar with chakras, with energy? Good. Great. Happy to hear that. Oh my gosh, you have a huge safe behind you, don't you? Paula, that's a
Oh,
safe.
a huge safe?
Yes.
I thought you said, yeah. I thought you said a snake, and I'm kind of going,
No.
what's talking to
No.
me?
No. I'm like, oh my God, are you a bank? It doesn't look like you're at a bank.
No, it's just
Oh, yeah.
been collecting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. um, yeah, I mean, over the years, I've taught this online for I think 8 years now. And, it's just evolved and it's grown. And like I said, this last group that came through in April, they were all pretty fluent at 2.5 weeks. And it's a 6-week course. So I was amazed. So that's wonderful to hear that I'm giving them the resources that they need to get it going. And I do have 2 other 6-week programs that follow this initial one if you want to continue. And they all have the same. There's a silver and the gold. So you can take the silver, or you can get the certification. But in those we talk about energy healing with animals. We talk about kind of some medical intuition, some of the death and dying issues, and it just gets a little more advanced. So based on the request of my students, they request it and I build it. So any other questions? That's the other thing. Animals will always congregate around our Zoom meetings. They're like, is it my turn?
Yeah, they do.
Yes,
As soon as they hear you talking, they all kind of go, "Are you talking to me?"
they do. Yeah. A lot of my students have said, oh my God, Linda, they're drawn to your voice. They all come running.
Right.
Like, yeah, they know, I can tell. All right. I am going to do the free reading if we don't have any other questions. Well, this is pretty easy to decide. I think I'll do Paula with her kitty. Do you have any questions of your kitty cat? What's your kitty's name?
This one here is Mr. Big.
Mr. Big. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions of Mr. Big, or do you want me to talk with the others?
I guess I just want to know if he's happy in the house, because we rescued him. He has another brother and a sister, and then he's got a cousin, and they're all from the barn. And so I'm just wondering, because I will not let him outside.
Okay.
And they've been in the house they're 8 years old. They've been in the house for 7 years. And I'm just wondering if he's happy being in the house instead of being outdoors.
Okay. All right. Give me a moment. Let me check in. He is content, especially because there's others that are there. His siblings do annoy him from time to time. Like, it would be ideal if he were the only one, worship me and forget about everyone else is kind of his attitude. Yes. The yawn. Did you see the yawn?
Yes.
That's a telltale sign that there's a release, that I said something that really rang true when they release like that.
Oh, I know that there's the one that is the cousin to him. He's pure white, and he just loves to cuddle with Mr. Big. And Mr. Big just sometimes says, I don't want to be in the same spot with you. He just gets up and moves because he's just I don't want to do it.
Right.
And because Baby Blue absolutely demands his attention, and he gets tired of it.
Yeah. 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 Well, they all have their unique personalities for sure.
Yeah. See, and this is his big brother,
Uh-huh.
and this is Mr. Kitten, and he's the loudmouth. So.
Oh
but
yeah, he is bigger. I was surprised when you say big brother, but yeah, he's a bit bigger.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, good. They
Yeah.
they feel loved, they feel content, they feel, happy.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say, yeah, they're content.
Good.
And look at him staring right at you.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
got that message. Look at that.
Yeah.
They've got you trained well.
Oh yes. And then they're also saying, you know what? It's almost 8 o'clock. It's time for bed,
Aw.
aren't you? Hmm. Yeah. I know.
Oh, that's so funny.
So yeah.
Great.
Thank
All
you.
right. Yes, you're welcome. Any other questions about the course or about animal communication in general? Nope. All right. Well, thank you all. I appreciate your time, and I'll send the replay out tomorrow, as well as some additional information about the course. So if the course isn't right for you right now and you know someone who is interested, feel free to forward those emails to them as well, because I want to help as many people as soon as possible, because I regretted not knowing animal communication when I really needed it, so it's never too early. All right. Thank you all. Take care.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Linda.
Congratulations,
to see you.
Pepper.
Thank you.